Hello, this is John Locke, and today's question comes to us from Reddit. Now, judging by their question, I'm guessing that their site is probably under 2 years old, kind of on the newer side, not a long-term site. But I thought this question was really interesting, so I wanted to answer it and give my 2 cents on it. So what's going on with this particular person is their question was, is Page Speed Insights BS? Which is Google's tool for measuring page speed, and they give you a little numerical score for mobile and then also for desktop. This is also known as Lighthouse now. It's rebranded as that, but basically you run a URL through the tool, it'll give you a score and then some recommendations of what to do. So why they were asking this question is they said, we ran our site through Google Page Speed Insights, and initially our mobile score was 1 and our desktop score was 10, so pretty bad. And we worked with our developer and we got the scores up to, I think it was like 30 and 50 respectively. But what happened to their site is they experienced a downturn in traffic. They said that they had a 90% downturn in traffic during the last few weeks or so. And the reason why they're saying is this BS is because they were looking at Ahrefs, and they said that their domain rank score went from the 22 millionth best website to the 16 millionth best website. So basically their rank of all the domains in the world went from 22 million to 16 million. They improved their Page Speed Insights score, but yet they were dropping in actual Google traffic. And an example that they cited is they ran some very famous sites through the Google Page Speed Insights, and they said the New York Times had a score of 31, Apple had a score of 50, Twitter had a score of 70, Google had a score of 70 something. This seems like BS because this tool says that anything below 90 is not good, and we improved ours and yet we lost rankings. So here's what I think with this, not knowing what category your site's in or not knowing any additional details. A couple things to unpack here. Google said a long time ago that they want to rank big brands. If you've been watching our videos from the last week, you'll see that we touched on this a few times. They said this way back in 2008. They've really been increasing the heat on that in the last year or so, where big brands like the New York Times and Twitter and Apple and Google are over here, and all the rest of the sites that are just kind of up and coming are over here. So to put it bluntly, you're not going to get the same type of treatment as these large brands are going to get. I think it's good that you increased the speed of your site and you increased your speed score in Google. But one of the biggest things that they're going to look at is the time to first byte and the actual time that it takes to load what they call the above the fold content. So anything that's visible when you first load the screen. There's things that you can do like inlining CSS. The biggest thing that you can do is get on good hosting. But I don't think that's the issue. I really don't think that that's the issue. You also mentioned that your Ahrefs score went up. So that means that you're building links, because Ahrefs and SEMrush and Moz and Majestic, all of them have different factors. What they call, Moz might call it the domain rank, or Ahrefs might call it URL rank or domain authority or domain rank, and I think Majestic calls it, trust flow and citation flow. All these basically boil down to one thing. Are you getting more links? Are the links that you're getting likely to raise your search ranking? And I think a lot of them, these tools rework their formulas every so often to try and figure out, is your link profile actually line up with what's ranking? Because a lot of people do have high domain authority ranking sites, and they're actually filled with a lot of PBN links, private blog network links, a lot of black hat links. So it's not really a true reading all the time. That said, I don't think that that's your issue either. So, as many of you know, Google updates their algorithm many, many times during the year. And in the last year and a half, they've really been trying to dial up the machine learning part of their algorithm, which is called RankBrain. So essentially, Google wants to have their AI eventually pick results out of the search rankings, or rank them in a way that the sites that a human being would most likely choose rank the highest. Now, there's probably still a ways to go with that. I don't think that their AI is intelligent or as intuitive as a human being. It's not going to choose the same thing, but they're trying to move it in that direction. But they are making several changes to their ranking algorithm on a daily basis. And a lot of people suspect that they are running experiments like split testing in real time. And if you follow some of the SEO consultants out there, or if you follow some of the tools that track ranking volatility, meaning how often the ranking changes on a daily or weekly basis, a lot of them will tell you that there are a lot of fluctuations going on, and it appears that there are a lot of minor updates going on over the last few months. Now, actually, a lot of this goes back to August and September of 2018 with the so-called medic update, when everybody was saying it's all about, EAT and expertise and authority and trustworthiness. But a lot of it boils down to they're doing a lot of updates in real time every few weeks. And what I think that you got hit with was a content quality or a site quality update. If you look at somebody like Marie Haynes that tracks this sort of thing and kind of keeps track of the minor updates that don't have names, there seem to be a lot of these going on recently. A lot of sites that we've worked with over the last few months, that we've worked with to improve not only the UX and the site quality, but also the content quality, seem to have been getting bumps like up without a lot of link building involved. So I believe that what you are seeing is a content quality issue. So I don't know what particular vertical or category that you're in, but my advice to you would be take a look at your content, make sure that it is thoroughly researched, that it is appealing, that it's easy to read, that it's credible, cites sources, and basically answers any questions that the readers might have. That would be my best suggestion to you. Create good content. The other thing I would look at is maybe look at your site quality from an objective standpoint and make sure that your site is as good as it could be. That's what I think is happening to you. It's not about speed. Speed is a factor, but it's a small factor when you compare it to content. And I don't believe that it's links that's hurting you. I think it's a content thing from what you're telling me. So that's my opinion, man. My name's John Locke. My business is Lockdown Design and SEO. We help manufacturing companies get more requests for quotes. If you have an SEO question, leave it in the comments below. We'll answer it in a future video for you. Well, we're putting out videos every week, so there's no reason for you not to subscribe. And until next time, peace.